Hi all, so today I'm going to be upgrading my brakes from the standard 266 diameter and single pot piston to some 4-pot 323mm discs. Once you've jacked up your car and put it on axle stands and removed the wheels, you can remove the caliper via 2 bolts that are behind. You'll need a T55 for that, and then also an 11mm spanner to remove the brake union. It's a good idea to use a union spanner on that to get more force to open it. Also, if it's stuck and it starts twisting the pipe, what you can do is you can compress these, pull the whole thing through, hold it via some bowl grips and undo this side so you don't damage the union. When you undo the brake union, what happens is the fluid from the reservoir starts to leak through and drips everywhere. To stop that happening, what you can do is you can push the brake pedal down a little bit and hold it in position. And what I've done is use a bit of block and use a seat to push against. So I just push that down, use the seat and just do that to prop the pedal down to stop it from dripping. Okay, so release the pressure off the caliper, connect the pipe up to the bleed nipple and then undo the bleed nipple with an 8mm spanner. Careful not to put too much pressure on the bleed nipple, else it will shear off. Once you've undone it, you can pull the caliper on the sliders just to release some of the pressure so you can get the disc out. Another way of doing it is you can put a screwdriver in here and then apply a bit of force and that'll push the piston a little bit. You can see now that I've undone the union and the brake fluid's not dripping because of the master cylinder covering the ports from the reservoir, so there's no way of it to leak through the system now. Next thing to do is to remove the actual caliper itself via the 2 T55 bolts on the rear. Once the caliper's off, you can undo the retaining bolts. My car's got 2, your car's probably only got 1. It's a T30 to get those off. If you're unlucky, you might have to hit the disc with a rubber mallet to shock it off, but when I replaced the discs before, I put some anti-seize on the back so they come off quite easily. Next thing to do would be to clean the face of the hub and get it ready for the new discs. Once you've removed all the crusty bits and it's all nice and smooth, you can apply a bit of anti-seize onto it to stop the new disc to stick to it, and also stops a lot of the corrosion as well. When you're applying the anti-seize, you only want a very thin layer of it just smeared on. You don't want to be piling it on at all because you don't want any of that grease to get on your discs. Once you've got the disc on, the 2 little torque screws, you don't want to over tighten them, you just nip them up. What I normally do is just nip them up with the screwdriver handle, and that's enough to hold it. It just holds it in place while you put the calipers on. All the force goes through the wheel nuts. They're the wheel bolts. They're the ones that actually hold the disc onto the hub. And the other thing I've done is I've cleaned up the middle part of the disc and painted it with some black hammerite just to keep them looking nice and stop all the horrible rust showing. These are the 4-pot calipers off the DS3 Racing. You can see the brackets are included with these. One thing to note is when you're installing them, make sure you've got the bleed nipple at the top. It's very easy to get these the wrong way around when you're putting them onto the brackets, at least anyway. The 2 rear bolts, the 2 T55 bolts, they're 115 Newton meters and the small ones are only 10 Newton meters. Okay, so once everything's connected up, we're ready to put the other side on. Then after that, we'll bleed the system and they'll be ready to go. After you've bled the brakes, always make sure that you push the pedal down a few times and just feel its firmness. Should be nice rock solid pedal, shouldn't feel any sponginess at all.